It's extremely difficult for somebody to lie on a disc analysis, but it's easy for somebody uh, to lie in an interview, right? To make you think that this person is this type of human being. And so when I have that disc analysis done beforehand, it really allows me to see through all the answers that are happening in the interview and really understand, is this person a right fit within our organization? In fact, I got this advice a couple of years into running SoulGen. And so when we made this shift within our organization and started doing these disc analysis, it really helped us attract the right type of talent. Yo, welcome to another episode of the Founder Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is hiring all-stars. How do you do it? How do you attract high-level talent into your organization, building your team, recruiting? Now, first and foremost, it's important to understand that the basis of all recruiting is sales. If you have not upped your sales game, you need to improve it. Go and read a book, go and listen to a sales podcast, go get training from some of the top salespeople in the world so that you can be trained in this incredible profession. So, that is the basis of everything. But today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things, which is understanding personalities through the DISC assessment. So for those that are familiar with the DISC assessment, it stands for the four letters DISC. And D stands for dominant, I stands for influence, S stands for steadiness, and C stands for conscientious. And so for any of you that have never taken a DISC analysis, what I've gone ahead and dropped in the comments and the links below is a free analysis. My company, the Founder Project, has put on a free analysis. Typically, these cost a lot of money to get done. And so there's one specific to founders, and then there's one specific to employees. And so we're going to provide this to you free of charge that you can utilize for you, for your organization, for all those different things. But once you have understood exactly what your DISC analysis is, then you can start making incredible changes within your organization, the way you recruit, the way you attract top tier talent. So the thing that I've realized over many years of running businesses is that there is no such thing as a perfect person. There is only perfect couples, perfect partnerships, perfect teams, perfect organizations. The way you do that is you have to have a balance of personalities. Now, this is extremely difficult for us as entrepreneurs because the first and foremost thing that we want to do is bring on people just like us. We like people like us. Like for me, for instance, my personality is a high D, high I. So I'm highly dominant and highly influenced. And so whenever I am around somebody that's a high I or D personality, these are the people that I like to hang with, have a good time. These are my good friends. We kind of, butt heads every once in a while because we are so similar. But as far as building an organization or building a companionship, this isn't very effective. And I will give you, for example, my wife. She is a high S, low C, low I. And so she is very steady. She is conscientious and she's influencing, which is really good and balances my dominant characteristic because when you have two Ds that are battling it out, you're going to argue. You're going to go through a lot of different things. And so you probably found this with one of your business partners, maybe one of your friends. If you have that high D personality, it's extremely difficult. In fact, I have a theory that it is extremely difficult for two D personalities to be married. All the other personalities can make it work, but two D personalities, man, you betcha that's going to be extremely difficult. And so a few things that I've learned along the way in building these organizations is that first and foremost, before I do any type of hiring process, before I do any interviews or anything like that, if somebody applies or wants to be a part of my organization, first and foremost, I'm going to have them fill out one of these DISC assessments so that I can better understand them. It's extremely difficult for somebody to lie on a DISC analysis, but it's easy for somebody to lie in an interview, right? To make you think that this person is this type of human being. And so when I have that disc analysis done beforehand, it really allows me to see through all the answers that are happening in the interview and really understand, is this person a right fit within our organization? In fact, I got this advice a couple of years into running SoulGen. And so when we made this shift within our organization and started doing these disc analysis, it really helped us attract the right type of talent. So then when you're looking for somebody that is a high level tech person that can sit down and program for a long time, they're going to have a high S personality. They're going to be very steady. They're going to be consistent. Boom, 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 day in, day out. Nothing's going to distract them. They're going to be able to get the work done. Now, somebody who has a dominant personality or an influence personality, these people are going to be easily distracted. A lot of these people show up as ADD because they have a hard time to like stick and focus on a certain task. But these people make great salespeople. In fact, Tony Robbins says that he would never hire a salesperson unless they have some level of a dominant personality. Now, the easy thing in an interview to be influenced against is if somebody has a high I personality but doesn't have that deep personality at all. And the reason why is because a high I personality is very really good with words. They're really happy. They make you feel good. They're jokesters or whatnot. And you're like, man, this person's going to be incredible at sales. They know how to talk with people. They know how to influence people. But at the end of the day, if they're lacking any level of a D personality, they're not going to be dominant in actually getting a customer to move forward. And like it or not, getting somebody to move forward with a high ticket item or sign a contract or really push your business forward requires that dominant personality. And then what you begin to understand about people as you understand these different personalities is that, once again, I have strengths and I have weaknesses. And I do not require anybody within my organization to change their weaknesses. I just want them to focus on their strengths, focus on that dominant personality, focus on that steady personality, focus on that conscientious personality. And then you get to see different applications. So like, for example, my assistant for many years, she had a high C, low D personality. So she was very conscientious, which is great for me because I'm not very conscientious. I don't think about people all the time and like how they're feeling and this, that, or the other, right? And that dominant personality comes through and people may see me as mean or like he just doesn't understand me or this, that, or the other. Even though I have a very tender heart and I actually love people, it doesn't come through because of my dominant personality. So my assistant, she balances me out perfect because she's conscientious. She's always thinking about the little details and ways that we can influence people in the right way. But that low D personality is great because she actually will help conflict with me a little bit and push me in ways that I need to be pushed and hold me to a schedule and hold me to a regimen and all the different things. And so that for me was what I've found to be an incredible executive assistant personality. And as you begin to understand, there's all different kinds of combinations. So the way that the test works is it scores you from 0 to 100 on each of these different characteristics. And if you score over 60 on that, you're considered a high of that number or of that letter. And if you score over a 40, you're considered a low of that letter. And under 40, it just doesn't show up in your results. And so when I say I'm a high D and a high I, this means I score above 60 in dominance and above 60 in influence and so on and so forth. Like, for example, with my wife, she scores over 60 in steadiness, between 40 and 60 in conscientious, and between 40 and 60 in influence. And so these are the things that you really begin to understand. So like my wife, she's an incredible technician. Her personality is like, she just wants to go and like get things done. And that little I influence like makes her think about people with the conscientious, but she's very steady, which is a great characteristic and be married to me because I'm so out there. I'm so wild and this, that, and the other, right? New ideas, new, like, let's travel here, let's move to this, let's move 14 times during our marriage. And because she's steady and she's very loyal, this makes it easy for her personality to comply with my high D and my high I. And so as you begin to understand this, once again, this makes it easier to recruit and influence people within your organization and make proper decisions, like when you're hiring for that sales position, to not be thrown off by that person that has that high I influencing personality, but no D whatsoever. Now, for me, I think the best sales personality or entrepreneur personality is a high D, high I. In fact, when we held a mastermind at my house just last month, and many of you guys know that I host these masterminds every 2 to 3 months, in which we get together 10 to 12 people. It's a $20,000 ticket. People get together and we talk about our businesses and all this different stuff. So when we hosted this last one, I think there was 11 people at the event. 10 out of the 11 scored a D and I, or a mix, whether it was a low D, high I, high D, low I, high D, high I, whatever. That was their mix. 10 out of 11 of these different founders and entrepreneurs, while one was a high S, low C. And the interesting thing is, you don't have to be that DI personality to be a successful entrepreneur. You just have to balance yourself out. And so if you are that high S and low C, you probably know that you're not incredible at sales, but you're really good at like planning and organizing and designing and maybe engineering, putting things together and keeping them very well organized. While on the flip side, you need that D personality or that high I personality that can influence the business, that can be the visionary, that can drive and dominate and really bring forth additional business within your organization. And so as you begin to understand that, once again, it's not about your weaknesses. It doesn't mean that, hey, I lack D or I lack I. It's, this is my strength over here. Those are my weaknesses. I need to balance those weaknesses by creating a perfect partnership with somebody that does have that type of influence or that type of dominance in their life. And so then you begin to really understand and appreciate all the different personalities, and you really appreciate your weaknesses and you appreciate your strengths. And then what this does is you can go and you can, if you haven't already applied this within your organization, have everybody within your organization take this test. Once again, it's free. The links, I'm giving it to you. Just go over to thefounderdisc.com, thefounderdisc, DISC.com. So that's for founders, and then employees is going to be /employee. And so send them over. Get this report on every single one of your people. Once you have this report, you're going to be able to better understand them. And so ways that I have seen best practices for understanding my DISC analysis is I am very aware of what my weaknesses are, that I dominate conversations. I railroad people in meetings and with ideas, and like, even though I really appreciate ideas of other people, it doesn't appear to be that way. And so what I have to do, being very aware of my strengths and very aware of my weaknesses, I have to let people know, hey, look, this is what's going to happen. I am going to railroad you in this particular situation. I am going to be very dominant. I'm going to act like I don't want to hear your opinion. But the exact opposite is actually true. I want you to fight against me. I want you to stand up for what your opinion. If you are unwilling to stand up against me, I just believe that your opinion isn't very strong. And so I give people permission to fight against me, to conflict against me. And the only way that we can get there is, as we talk about in the 5 dysfunctions of the team, is you have to build high level of trust, and you have to be very communicative about, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. And so as I built my organizations over the years, is I've allowed people into look, you got to understand this. And then the same thing about them. I read their little DISC analysis. I go and I study it, and I'm like, oh, that's why this person is struggling with me on this particular thing, or this is why this isn't working, or whatever it may be. And so as you begin to better understand your people, you're going to have more influence. You're going to be able to connect at a higher level. And then you're going to be able to read through this as you attract new people in your organizations. You're doing the hiring process. On top of that, once again, recruiting is sales. You can't just send out applications through Indeed or send out job postings through Indeed or Craigslist or whatnot and expect to have number one all-stars coming over to your team. You have to master the skill of influence. And if you can't, if you're that S or that C personality, you need to have a partner or somebody in your organization, somebody that's on your recruiting team that has that high D, that has that high I, that masters the sales of recruiting. Because at the end of the day, if you want great people in your organization, chances are they already have jobs and they aren't looking, because these people are going to be loyal. They are going to be the kind of people that give everything to your organization and are never looking for another job. So if that's the kind of people that you're looking for, guess what? You're not going to find them through a job posting. You're going to have to go, and when you see a good personality, somebody serving your table, somebody helping you buy a car, somebody giving you incredible customer service. This is a tip that I learned from a mentor long ago. Literally go up, put your arm around them. I know it's going to be weird and I know it's going to be a little strange, right? Put your arm around them and say, guess what? We need incredible people like you on our team. I know you're not looking, and I know you're happy with where you're at. Otherwise, you would have already left already. And that is the exact reason why we want you on your team, on our team. And when you speak to somebody's soul like that and really help them understand the level of recruiting that you're trying to accomplish and that you need great people, it speaks to them, right? It literally changes their outlook. And even though they weren't looking before, they may now be looking again. But here's the thing. You're not going to convince them in that moment. You got to plant that seed, and then you have to do consistent follow-up. You need to put them in your phone and set a reminder to follow them up with in 2 weeks and get their phone number and reach out to them on Facebook, send them a video message. And you say, hey, look, I know I approached you about being on our team a couple of weeks ago, and I know you probably weren't ready at that point. Have you given it any more thought? Have you thought more about what we're building over here? And if you can portray, or your partner, once again, whoever the visionary is, can portray the vision that you're building within your organization, and you can do so with influence and you can do so with love, you're going to naturally attract incredible talent. This is the way that we scaled from 0 to 1,300 employees in 5.5 years. It's because this is the type of consistent recruiting and follow-up that we always had out there. And once again, high-level players, they're not going to come over after the first attempt, not even after the second attempt. In fact, I played the long game for so long. There's people that I brought into my organization that have been following me for 10, 15 years, and our paths just never crossed, never made it work. But I understand the value of long-term relationships, that you cannot afford to ever burn a bridge, burn a relationship, because you never know where that relationship could potentially pop up in the future. And you can either work together in a joint venture, in a partnership, employee ownership relationship. You really never know where that relationship may end. And this is where you have to consistently just be networking. You have to be putting out content on social media. You got to be letting people know that you love them, that you appreciate them, that their talents are noticed, right? People just want to be noticed for the great things that they do. And so when you do this approach of putting your arm around somebody and initially contacting and saying, look, we need incredible people just like you. And I get it. You're not looking right now. And that is the exact reason why we want loyalty in our organization. We want people of high trust that are dedicated to the vision and to what we are building. Guys, I can promise you, as you do this type of practice in your organization, you're going to be able to attract incredible people. On top of that, one of my favorite things to do, if you are really struggling and bringing on talent, hire headhunters in-house. You can go and hire headhunters outside and pay a third of their salary, to a headhunter. But why do that when you can bring in-house headhunters, your best top salespeople that are attracting great talent? Hire a top-level vice president of human capital, somebody that's going to go and grow your organization, that's going to really take care of that human capital. Because at the end of the day, technology and AI, these are changing the way that we play the game. You have to up your human capital talent. And frankly, and a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this. You probably will hate me for saying this. If a job is under $100,000, you're probably best sending it overseas or automating it through AI. Anything over $100,000, these are the high level talent that you want to be attracting to within your organization. So go and build incredible organizations. Once again, down below the link to be able to get these DISC assessments. This is our gift to you. It's free. We paid for this assessment to be put together. It's yours. Use it with your friends. Use it with better understanding your spouse, your relationships, your employees. Go ahead on the link. We'll send it right over to you. You can do it. The assessment takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Super excited in the way that it's going to help build your organization. Until next time.